Warner Brothers is afraid that Aquaman 2 is going to go bust, and they proved that they know they need to go elsewhere when it comes to AH. During their recent Comic-Con convention, Warner Brothers was so scared of the controversy that would come up with Aquaman 2 and AH that, get this, they decided instead of promoting 2023 movies because of all the controversy surrounding them, they would stick with 2022 movies. You know, we're 7 months plus into that, almost 8 months in, but they decided instead of trying to go with that, instead of hearing the noise, they would have to play it safe. What's more, if you look at the official Twitter page for the Aquaman movie, you know you would expect postings about this thing, right? Well, look at this. You'll notice that after February the 11th, 2022, they haven't posted anything at all. I mean, essentially, they've given up trying to promote the movie. They know just how bad things are going now. That tells you, again, all that promotion talk, all of them doing screeners. Oh, man, they know there's a problem. You and I, we're going to talk about this stuff today, too. This is fun times. I mean, this is fun times indeed. What an admission. So, hey there to all you fine folks on this fine day, by the way. I hope you are doing excellently. Imagine my surprise when I ran across this from Variety, no less. We're talking about a shill site for AH and really for a lot of other bad players out there, where they're admitting that Warner Brothers knows there's a problem. They know that their movies may flop, so they're trying to avoid them because they don't know how to do damage control right now. Quote, with a 2023 slate hobbled by controversial stars, and you'll notice under that two pictures, two controversial stars they bring up, one AH, one Ezra Miller. Warner Brothers and DC, they're the same thing, by the way, just a note, stick to 2022 titles in muted Comic-Con appearance. Muted. So what shill media is admitting here is amazing. And this is shill media, by the way. Variety, I mean, they promote the heck out of Warner Brothers. They push AH every chance they get. But what they're admitting is that Warner is afraid. They're not hesitant. They are afraid to promote movies like Aquaman 2. Why? Because every time they do, controversy ensues, and they know that this stuff, it's going to fail. That's gone so bad that, unlike in the past at San Diego Comic-Con, where they'd pull out all the stops and they would show everything, they decided they wouldn't put on any show on the showroom floor. They wouldn't promote any tie-in like DC Comics, and what's more, they stuck to 2 movies, 2022 releases, while admitting that, well, these things, we got to push them out the door. I mean, listen to this here. This year, the studio took a decidedly different approach. It skipped the show floor completely, including a presence for DC Comics. So again, no tie-ins whatsoever. That includes any comic tie-ins, any merchandising tie-ins. They decided they're not going to show any of that, no statues, no nothing. And while it did use its hour-long panel in Hall H, now hour-long, they typically, back when, they would put on double that plus at least 2 hours. This time they put on an hour-long show to showcase 2. So they stuck to 2 movies that are 2022 releases. They stuck to Black Adam and they stuck to Shazam! Fury of the Gods, the studio's biggest DC movie releases for 2023, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, aka a certain person that lost their case, and The Flash, another person with a lot of controversy, and Ezra Miller were completely MIA. So they decided not to bring them in at all. Now, what is absolutely hilarious about this is that in taking this approach, it still stirs up controversy. Why? Because people are asking about it. So you have Warner Brothers try to damage control, and that fails utterly. You even have their shill media calling out the excuses. I mean, look at this here. So they have their studio insiders. They say that Aquaman 2 and The Flash, they're too far away from the schedule to warrant print a big splash at the Comic-Con, and well, we don't have enough materials to bring that up. Now, we already know that both movies they completed shooting months ago, so you would have had plenty of time to whip up some footage. You could have put on some hype. That would have been easy. Now, this idea too that we don't do that in advance, yeah, Warner Brothers in previous years, they used Hall H as a launching pad for films well beyond the calendar year. 2014 panel for the studio included the first ever look at 2015's Mad Max Fury Road. Zack Snyder first announced 2016's Batman vs. Superman at Comic-Con in 2013. The panel for the film, it was held in 2015. So again, that's getting called out as an excuse that doesn't fly. Now, what makes this even better is the fact that Shield Media, they are forced to admit that maybe keeping AH around, that wasn't such a good idea. What's funny, they try to blame fans too. I mean, they try to go that route, but at the same time, they're forced to admit AH lied. She lost in a jury trial, and she is destroying films. She is toxic. They use those words there. Listen to this here. The circumstances of AH and Ezra Miller's situation are quite different. However, in both cases, Warner Brothers is facing down an impossible dilemma without much precedent. Even in the Me Too era, how to promote their escapist superhero franchises when their stars are embroiled in toxic scandals that overwhelm all other conversations about them. Now, what's beautiful when they're talking about this, they also have to admit that Walter Hamada, who runs Studios DC unit, testified that they weren't even going to bring AH back. Basically, that was a mistake. Why? Because she had no chemistry with Jason Momoa. They also say, well, maybe they could downplay her presence. Maybe, you could trick the audience, essentially. That's not going to work either, by the way. The audience, they know she's there. They are not going to fall for that, but they're trying to figure out an answer where they can still shill for AH, they can still keep her on board, and they can also say somehow, in some way, that movie, it didn't fail because of her. Good luck with that. They admit, though, when they go through this, they absolutely admit that at some point, Warner Brothers, they're going to have to bring this stuff up. They're going to have to acknowledge and engage DC fans about these films, and they're going to have to talk about the actors within them. But rather than navigate those waters right now, they chose to set it all down. And like I said, they didn't just do that here, by the way. They've done that on social media. They haven't promoted anything about this movie in a long time now. You have some teasers that'll come up in the media, but they themselves, they're not promoting anything. And the reason for that, that's AH. She is destroying this movie. I love it too, because like I said, Warner Brothers is admitting that they know their movie is in trouble. They know it's about AH. Anyway, let me know what you think about this, though. And as always, I appreciate the heck out of you. You make this stuff work. Thank you so much for that. Also, want to help out the channel? Links are in the description. Check those out. But you being here, that's the biggest help of all. Thank you. Appreciate you. End it here. See you soon.